Hello everyone. It is Sunday, which is Supernatural Sunday. We're in a different environment. Not environment, just a different room in the house. And there's a story behind that, which I will tell you. I basically have no heating right now. The heater broke. The whole central heating's gone, and my room, this is my bedroom, this is the only room in the house that is kind of warm right now, and that I think is just from like electrical heat because I have the TV on and the Xbox on and stuff. So we're just gonna film in here today. I know it's a bit you know, nuts in the room. You got like my figures and things, and like Ezio's arm knife. I can't remember what they called. Secret stabbies. I can't remember what they're called. Yeah, just I hope the background isn't too distracting. But today we're gonna talk supernatural stuff because it's Supernatural Sunday, which means spooky times. Now this story is one that has been made into a movie. It's been made into a TV show. It was all over the news when it was going on, but it's a bit kind of, did it happen? You know? Was it a hoax? Ed and Lorraine Warren were involved, if you know them. Ed was like a famous demonologist type guy. Self-proclaimed, can I just say. Self-proclaimed. And Lorraine was a medium and a clairvoyant. And they, if you've seen the Conjuring films, you'll be kind of familiar with them and their backstory. But they were very heavily involved in like paranormal, supernatural spookiness. Let's get started! I'm going to talk to you guys this week about the Enfield Poltergeist, and if you haven't heard of the Enfield Poltergeist, this whole story went on round about 1977. Peggy Hodgson and her kids were living in a house in London. They began hearing noises, like strange noises, strange knocks, seeing furniture being moved about, the whole thing, like anything you can think of that was anything poltergeist related was probably happening in this house. The first instance that the family noticed of supernatural activity going on in the house were Lego bricks flying about. Everyone knows that it hurts when you stand on Lego bricks, but I don't know if everyone knows how it feels to get hit in the head with a brick. Lego brick. I can't imagine that that's very fun. Just some advice. If that starts happening in your house and there's no like, you know, explanation, leave. More than 30 people had actually witnessed the paranormal goings on in this house, including a police officer who had come around to kind of investigate to see what was going on. She had seen a chair wobble and move across the room, and she couldn't figure out how or why, or, you know, she couldn't work it out. The people that had witnessed these goings on in the house were, you know, people that were researching into the paranormal, neighbours, just general members of the public. You know, neighbours had reported hearing things, they reported seeing things. But one strange occurrence that used to happen that people had actually witnessed was that some of the children would levitate a couple of feet off the ground. As I'd mentioned before at the beginning of this video, Ed and Lorraine Warren actually did go and investigate. They flew over from the US and they went to investigate the house, and they left believing that the house was haunted by some kind of poltergeist. And yeah, more on that in a bit. So the family actually went and made a story about this and told the story to the press, and they released the story in the Daily Mirror. After reading the story in the Daily Mirror, members of the Society of Psychical Research decided to go and investigate. So 2 people from this society went. The people that went were Guy Playfair and Maurice Grosse. When they were investigating, they said that they had heard whistling and growling coming from one of the kids' general direction. This child was called Janet. Janet becomes she's a big part of this story, Janet. Janet is a big part of this story. Janet was targeted the most by this poltergeist, which they had named Bill. And I think the poltergeist himself was like, look mate, my name, it's Bill. Because he used to channel his voice through Janet a lot of the time. She would just randomly be talking and suddenly, there's Bill, you know. Bill would just come out. Bit rude, but I guess that's Bill. There were issues with the credibility of everything that was going on, even when people went to go and investigate. So Janet was actually caught in a room that was bugged with cameras, bending spoons herself and trying to bend an iron bar. She was also caught banging a broom on the ceiling to make it seem like there were bangs by Bill. Bangs by Bill. Band name, calling it. Maurice had actually seen her hiding his tape recorder for funsies, I guess, or to just blame it on Bill. Janet did a lot of things to make this kind of not credible. There's more. There's more. Guy Playfair, who I'd mentioned was also investigating the house with this society, he had said that when Bill would channel his voice and kind of make Janet say things, he would often randomly change the subject and kind of lose track of what he was saying, which was exactly the same behaviour that Janet had herself when she wasn't being controlled by Bill. Janet and her sister Margaret had also admitted to faking some of the events and kind of exaggerating them when journalists were around so that they could get, you know, the story out a bit more. Only problem with that is even though that they had admitted that, Maurice and Guy basically forced them to retract that statement. There were also pictures taken during the investigation. There was like a camera set up, so there wasn't a photographer there kind of directing on what to do or anything, but these pictures showed Janet levitating, and the levitating looks a lot like jumping off of her bed, and I will put the picture here somewhere. You'll be able to see the picture somewhere over here in this general direction right now. But it's worth noting that even though this picture looks like she was jumping, a lot of people also have said that she was like a school sports champion and she did gymnastics. But in my opinion, anyone can just jump from their bed and, you know, have a picture taken. To me, that looks like she's just jumping from her bed. But that is, according to the family, proof that she was levitating. There was a guy who was the former president of the society that I mentioned before, and his name was John Beloff, or Beloff. I think it's Beloff. Once again, Dom butchers words. His opinion on Janet being possessed by Bill was that Janet was practicing ventriloquism. People have also argued that the voice coming out of Janet was made by false vocal cords that are located just above your larynx. The vocabulary and the phrases that she was using as well were supposedly very typical for a child her age. They weren't exactly super advanced, they weren't exactly super, you know what I'm saying? You know, just very typical of a child of her age. So the interview that I've linked below was an interview with the BBC. And in this interview, you can actually hear Bill's voice coming out of Janet, which, you know, is pretty scary, pretty nuts. But in this interview, the interviewer asked Janet, what's it like to be haunted? What's it like to be haunted by a poltergeist? She turns around and goes, it's not haunted. And her sister Margaret, who is literally sat right next to her, just turns to her and whispers, shut up. And because of that, people think that, you know, this whole thing was made up. But in their defense, a lot of people do say this type of stuff under pressure when they're nervous. In the interview, they also, you know, they're also smiling, laughing, joking. And again, I am one of those people that when I'm nervous, I laugh and I smile and I joke, and I shouldn't. It's just, you know, when you're in awkward situations like that, when you're under pressure, these things can happen, and I feel like that should just kind of be that should just, you know, let it slide. Just let that go. Just let it go. It's fine. So Guy Playfair, one of the investigators that had gone over to investigate, obviously, he's an investigator for the society. He'd actually written a book after this whole thing and kind of detailed the experiences that he had there. He had said that while he thinks that there are some paranormal related activities going on, he believes that the children were technically just playing, you know, pranks to make it seem like it was worse than it actually was. It's also worth noting that I said that Ed and Lorraine Warren had flown over to kind of go and take a look, and they left believing that this whole thing was paranormal related. People have said that Ed Warren was well known for exaggerating and putting, you know, demonic things in place where they weren't really there. Things seemed to die down with the reports after 1977. Nothing was really known about it since. Nothing kind of, as far as we know, nothing went on. I'm sure if there was a poltergeist in the house, it all kind of, you know, they just kind of got used to Bill's goings on, you know, him just doing his daily routine of lobbing a few Lego bricks around and talking through Janet, which in all fairness, if that happened, must have been absolutely terrifying. I'm not sure how I'd feel about my brother randomly talking in an old man voice and telling me all these different things and being mean. That's pretty standard for my brother though, in all fairness. But yeah, that's the story of the Enfield Poltergeist, and whether it's true or not, I don't know, but The Conjuring 2 covers the story of this. Obviously to some dramatic effect, because it kind of has to be, doesn't it, really? So, let me know what you think about this story. In my opinion, I think there may have been some kind of paranormal goings on, but I don't think that necessarily half of it was, you know, there's a lot of things that happened, such as them basically admitting that they were tricking journalists, and then the investigators being like, what did you say? Take that back. Like that to me is a little bit, you know, like, you know, kind of takes out the whole credibility of the whole story, really, doesn't it? But yeah, let me know what you think. I'll put the interview and everything, I'll link that all down below so you guys can watch that and kind of really see it for what it is, and kind of see it in action, I guess. See Bill talking through Janet. They even have a nice shot of the Lego bricks, but they're not flying about. The kids are just rummaging through the box. So, yeah. I feel like the Lego bricks have been the star of this story. Let me know what you think. I will be back on Tuesday for a True Crime Tuesday story. I hope you enjoyed this one. I really enjoy doing the Supernatural Sundays because I feel like it's a bit more fun, you know? There's nothing, we can kind of discuss on whether you think things are real, and I can kind of poke fun at the things that, you know, that just makes me feel a bit more comfortable. I completely believe in supernatural and paranormal things, and hearing about this type of stuff does freak me out, but I feel like if I poke fun at this thing, at like these things, then it's not that bad. But that doesn't mean to say that, you know, even though I don't believe that some of these things are real, I don't want to take away the, you know, the belief of other people, and I don't think that, you know, these things that happened in the story, you know, that is their story. That is something that they experienced. That is something that they will say happened. And I think we, as people believing, as people hearing that, we need to take that with a pinch of salt, but don't take away the credibility of, you know, what they went through. Because we're never really fully gonna know whether they went through that. I just want to put that out there because I feel like I need to. So that's the end of it for this week. I'll be back on Tuesday for True Crime Tuesday. And I don't know what story I'm going to cover on Tuesday, but I'll be back. So I'll see you guys then. And I hope you've had a lovely weekend. I'm going to go and get into bed with a cup of tea now because I am frozen. Frozen. Okay. Have fun. I'll see you guys Tuesday. Bye!